Hey, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, friends and family, to our very first episode of the L.I.F E podcast. Life, listening and inspiring friends and entertainment. As many of you know, we used to do this live at Icon Studios here in Atlanta, Georgia. But guess what? We have gone global, and we are now doing it as a podcast. Now, we will stream every once in a while here and there, so feel free to subscribe, download, listen anytime, share it with your friends, and we will change your life week to week. At least that's the goal. We're going to talk about some fun topics. We're going to touch on some things that's going to piss you off, and some things that are going to make you happy. So sit back and enjoy the ride, and let's go. I used to run this thing solo, but I am happy to say that I have a partner now, my partner in crime, my ride or die, Mr. Johnny, don't call him Jonathan Wells, Joe Vaughn. Johnny Wells, what up, man?
As he does it anyway, throws the government name out there. Man, I still got warrants from Florida, man. You play too much.
Man, this is great having a wingman, because now if I sound stupid, I got somebody that can actually make me sound smart.
I'm just going to laugh at you with everybody else. That's
whatever,
all it is.
bro, whatever. So look, man, we're excited about doing this. Johnny and I, we always have these conversations, and he's been pushing me to do this podcast forever with a lot of you guys. So I finally stopped being hard-headed, and I'm finally listening, and we are doing
No, he's taking his own advice.
Episode 1.
Yeah, you're taking your own advice. There you go. Number one, because Stone makes it a point to tell people, if everyone is telling you to do something, get to it.
Absolutely.
And it might have been a year ago, I think, the first time.
It's been a while. It's because of Johnny I'm starting this podcast. It's because of Johnny I'm starting this book. Like I said, many of you guys have said the same thing, but Johnny's just been on me about it. So I appreciate you, brother, for real, for kicking my butt.
Absolutely.
With your size 3 shoe.
Hey, man. I resemble that remark, okay?
But it's going to be fun, man. We're going to open it up for you guys. I mean, just like with Life, when we did it live, when I did it live, it was very interactive. This thing, the lifeblood of this whole thing is to make sure you guys are getting questions answered that you have, and we're making sure we're talking about things that are meaningful to you, and we're not just sitting here and, stinking up the mic with bad breath.
Yeah, right.
So by all means, make sure you guys are texting and tweeting in comments and stuff like that. And every week we're also going to have a special guest. Sometimes it's going to be someone someone with a name and notoriety, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's going to be an up-and-comer, because I truly believe that we can learn from everybody.
Right. All right, let's get to the entertainment.
First thing up, everyone excited about Stranger Things Season 2. Do you watch Stranger Things?
Actually, this is season 3.
Coming
up, it's going to be season 3, actually.
Yeah. Season 3.
Yeah. So I was one of those reluctant fans because I knew what kind of show it was going to be, given the fact that the 80s nostalgia was going to be something that they actually they pinned the whole show on. Right. I was like, the second I watch this, I'm not going to be able to stop. And the fact that Season 1 and Season 2 was just built back to back on cliffhanger after cliffhanger after cliffhanger. And they did the same thing at the end of Season 2. Now I'm upset because I can't wait for it, and I've been waiting for it for a year, and I hate that I'm hooked on this show, but it's a dope show. So I'm looking forward to Season 3's kickoff like everybody else.
Yeah, they weren't even sure if this thing was gonna rock like that, and after the first season, they bought 2 more seasons. But the part what's the name of the curly head kid?
Finn Wolfhard. He plays Mike on the show.
Yeah, with this show, just like with the Game of Thrones and stuff like that, the kids are gonna grow up,
right? And
so there's gonna be some things that change. Like with his character in particular, I don't know if I want to see a 16 or 18-year-old.
And that's the thing that you run into with every show that's got a young cast, is that the good part is you get to grow up with them, and you make that direct connection with them. But then the thing is, they lose some of that as they grow up, some of that magic of the innocence of being kids,
right? Which
also plays into the show, because a lot of the stuff that they've gone through has been absolutely traumatic.
But my thing is, what I'm talking about with the kid thing is what made him so appealing,
right?
Like the Macaulay Culkin,
the cute curly hair.
Yeah,
thing.
Like once Macaulay grew up, it was kind of like.
Yeah, now he's got to be the Joker because he ain't cute no more.
Well, see, I didn't say all that. No disrespect to you, Macaulay. But Macaulay now obviously is a far cry from the Home Alone Macaulay. So
right.
That's the kind of stuff that's going to take some getting used to. But either way, it's a dope show. So we're going to have fun with it anyway.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
So that's Stranger Things. So y'all, we will be talking about that every once in a while periodically, because it does fall under the E of entertainment.
Right.
And then next, Aladdin. Has anyone seen Aladdin?
Reluctantly again.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, and I'm going to go see it, but I'm told that Aladdin's trying to figure out his lifestyle. I don't know. I'm just hearing from you rumors. I don't know. I haven't seen it.
The genie's got some Metro things going on in this particular one. There's some Metro stuff going on now.
I'm not gonna call a spade a spade.
I'm not gonna. Nah, it's a gray area.
It's a gray.
There's a gray area.
It's a pink area.
Yeah, I'm a huge Aladdin fan though. Like I always tell people that if I ever come back in 2D form, I'm finding Princess Jasmine ASAP. Like that's been my thing since I was 9 years old.
Oh, okay.
So I have
a word for that though. When you have like like
fetish for
like
cartoon
fetish
characters.
for cartoon characters.
I call it fetish for cartoon
Isn't that called
characters.
unnatural or something?
It might be, but that that's me and my unnaturality. Okay,
Right.
Let me live.
Exactly.
But
anyway,
I mean, the movie is a great movie. It's well written. They take a lot of artistic license because there's certain things. If you are a huge fan of the Aladdin cartoon, I'm not gonna give anything away, but there's certain lines that are said in the cartoon that just became iconic. And as you're watching it, you're waiting for these lines, and they don't give it to you.
Oh, that sucks.
Now they found roundabout ways to
somebody
close
had
it
to
off.
bring that up.
And that's the thing. You can tell they did it intentionally to try to stay away from mimicking the original cartoon because everybody was putting a lot of weight on Will anyway, like
Right.
trying to follow in the footsteps of Robin Williams.
Right.
But they did. And I mean, at the end of it, I was still satisfied. I was pleased. It's a great film. It deserves what it's about to achieve.
Well, big congratulations to Will, though, because this film has pulled in so far $294 million worldwide. And
Right.
You said something about taxes or something.
No, it just So Will dropped an IG saying that how proud he is because Aladdin has become his #1 grossing film of all time, finally surpassing Independence Day.
Right.
And I just said unadjusted for inflation because adjusted for inflation.
That's y'all. That's language for haters.
No, it's not. But it's not haters. You gotta remember.
Can't just let the man have his shine.
$800 million in 1990. What was it? 6, 5, 6.
A while ago.
Adjusted for inflation today, that $800,000 or $800 million is well over $1 billion. So it's just
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's actual facts.
Yeah.
Haters. So so the budget was $180 million.
Right.
They've made
They've already
$294
crushed
million,
that.
So that's definitely a success. So Will, congratulations to you, my
to
brother,
Big
man.
Willie.
You are absolutely doing your thing, man. So proud of you, bro. Good job on that. And then last, let's touch on this Songland.
Yeah.
How do you like that show, Songland?
I'm digging it, man. I think
you?
it's a great spin on that concept that American Idol launched all those decades.
Right.
It feels like ago. I think it's a fresh way to really put the artists in the room with the artists that we know.
Right. Well, the whole precept of the show, which I agree with, and being in this game for over 25 years and then being a songwriter myself, is to put the spotlight on the songwriter. Here's my only beef with it, and I don't have a beef with it. First of all, Adam, Ryan Tedder, executive producers of the show, I think it was a great idea. Is that it's a picture of real life on how it happens, but it isn't.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? So that's the only thing that it does, because a lot of these songs, if you listen to them now, they go in one thing and they're so stripped and changed up by the time it's in and it's polished. I mean, songwriting happens that way, but then it doesn't.
Right.
Like I was writing this weekend with my cousin, Curtis Richardson, and we came up with stuff even by mistake that was like, but then as we worked it was like, yo, that's actually dope.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Instead of it being so polished, so commercialized, and then it kind of puts it like in a machine. Okay, we're going to go into this room, we're going to write, and then the star writer's going to come in, he's going to say change this, and then they're going to it's just not that.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I don't want to say we're both from an old school, but I mean, we remember when one or two people would write a song. It's not that anymore.
Heck no, I think Beyonce, this last album has 200.
It's ridiculous
songwriting credits,
and that's
on
the
it.
process that it is now.
200. Now, granted, if there's samples and stuff like that, obviously that counts. But
Right.
yeah, that's freaking ridiculous.
But that's the thing. I mean, you'll have 6 to 10 people in a room now, and I mean that's what the process become. I think the TV show is closer to what it resembles now as opposed to what we remember it was.
Right. We'll see how it goes, though. We do wish all the luck to Songland. Hope
Absolutely.
you guys, have all the success in the world, and the songwriters that are on there. I really hope this becomes a springboard for you guys.
Yeah, there's some talent on that show.
It is. It is. And just keep in mind that it is a TV show. Now, with Songland, it could be a little bit different, but like with American Idol, Voice, and all them, it was a TV show.
Right.
And that's why people wonder why, well, how come the artists haven't really blown up except for American Idol? Because it's a TV show.
It's a TV show.
And that's the first and foremost primary.
Yeah, ratings is the number one thing they're worried about right now.
They're really not so concerned about your career.
Right.
So songwriters, hopefully you guys take advantage of this opportunity and the spotlight that the show is giving you. And again, I wish you guys all the best. We've known some people on there. Esther Dean.
Yep.
My boy Brandon J.
Brandon
was on there
J.
last night. And even the first girl that was on there, I forgot, she's worked here at Icon Studios before. So it's cool actually seeing people that I know on that show.
Yeah.
And I do wish you guys the best. I could never be on it. Me and Kurt, we thought we couldn't be because we can't really sing. So we write the songs and then we were like,
Yeah.
and it's just not going to work. So listen up, man. We're going to move forward. So the feature of our day, the success moment, this is going to be this. There will come a time in everyone's life when if it is to be, it is up to me is a raw reality. Now, you guys have heard that phrase before. If it is to be, It's up to me. Well, it's more than just a phrase. There is a time in your life when you're pursuing your dreams and your goals when that phrase is going to be a raw reality for you. And the fact is, if the current you isn't getting the job done, guess what? It's time to create a current you. So what do you do, people, when the next step is up to you? There's a phrase out there that says you can do anything you put your mind to. You agree with that phrase?
Negative, Ghost Rider. I
see starting already.
I am. I'm about to, and that's the
Johnny,
thing.
he calls himself the devil's advocate. I disagree. Johnny's the devil. Take off advocate. No, I'm just kidding. How do you disagree? All right, you can do anything you put your mind to. I think I already know where you're gonna go with this. Though.
I hope not.
Go ahead.
I have this thing where I believe in the impossible. So in a sense, I do believe that. But we've had a conversation before where there's certain people that do have limits on what they're capable of doing.
Right.
And I feel like people who believe you can do anything that you can put your mind to sometimes aren't as honest with themselves as they need to be.
So like the astrophysicist who's in the wheelchair, what's his name? Hawking. So people were like, I'm going to run. I'm going to be on the
I'm going to do the
meter.
next, yeah.
Yeah.
Put your mind to it, man.
Put your mind to
that
it.
Ain't going
Stephen
down.
Hawking.
Yeah.
Right. No, I get it. I'm not, please, trust me, I'm not making fun of Stephen Hawking's condition. I mean, he passed away, didn't he?
He did. Yeah.
So I'm not making fun of him at all, but I'm just using
But that's the example.
A grandiose example.
Yeah,
So I mean,
we
see what you mean.
We've seen enough of this in the industry, too, with singers, producers. I mean, I was a producer for a long time. I'm still an engineer. I put my mind to it for 15 years, and I hit a ceiling. And there were certain things that I put my mind to make happen, and that just wasn't what ended up happening. Now,
is it that it didn't happen, or you just didn't? You realize that okay, maybe this ain't what I'm supposed to be doing, and you just kind of use wisdom to back out. Because I honestly feel that if you truly want something, you stay at it, kind of like water with a rock.
Yeah.
You could have stayed at it for the rest of your life,
and that's
something would have
popped. And that's the thing. A lot of stuff happened. It's just I set my goal at a certain point. I had a kid, bro. That's what happened.
Life over.
Yeah, I couldn't do projects on spec no more. I needed that consistent check. That's what happened. No, it's not that at all. I had complete faith and confidence. I feel like I'm a talented individual. I mean, I wouldn't have achieved some of the stuff I had. But had I said out the gate, I'm putting my mind to winning 20 Grammys, and I want to beat Michael Jackson's record, and I want to be up there with how many Jay-Z's got and all that. I know my talent level, and I feel like my success would have been notable, but I don't think my talent level had that gravitas to do
Well, here's
that.
my problem with that, is that before Kanye was Kanye, Kanye's talent level then wasn't at Kanye's talent level. But Kanye still thought he was going to be the Kanye that we know today.
I'll give you that.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think as long as you have the capacity, then I believe in that phrase.
Okay.
As long as you have the capacity, because you can't do what you don't have what you're not capable of doing, quite literally.
Look at Stone being the devil killer.
That's what I'm here to do, man. That's what I'm here to do. The devil's a lie, and I'm here to destroy him. But but yeah. So I do get what you're saying. But I personally feel like if you have the capacity to do it,
right.
I do believe you can do anything you put your mind to. But here's my caveat to that: doing it because you can. Because you have the capacity to do it is different than doing it because you're called to do it.
Right.
And this is where I feel a lot of people will run into frustrations because you do have a lot of people that are trying to pursue their dreams in music and dancing and acting and all this kind of stuff. And that's not what you're called to do. Like, that's not where your innate gift lies.
Yeah.
Okay. So and at this point, you don't even have to hold a note to get 15 minutes of fame. What was that guy, William Hung?
Yeah.
I mean, dude had fame. He had views. Now, I don't know if he knew how to freak the whole pay-per-view, pay-per-click thing on YouTube or not, but if he did, he could have made a chunk of change. Yeah. And he could have done some other things to parlay that into some type of celebrity status, and it doesn't look like he did. But the bottom line is, he was a horrible singer.
He was not a singer. He was not. Let's not even play with that. He was
a horrible voice.
It was one of those things that it was so bad. The pendulum swung so far that the show the show just took that and they spun how horrific it was into something that was funny, and it made it.
And it made it hit.
So it made great ratings, is what it
did make great ratings. So my whole thing is that's a point where even if you don't have the capability, sometimes things can happen. But the point is, he didn't have an innate gift.
Right.
It wasn't his calling. It wasn't his gifting. It wasn't his natural talent. So that's something that you have to look at. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because you can do something, that's going to be different because you're called to do this. Because like you said, with the producer thing, you may have been talented with it, whatever. But if you take someone like you, but let's say you take someone that comes out, what's that young producer's name? He's from New York. I can't think of him right now. He's dope. But he's been dope since he was like 12. Like he's been almost on some Rodney Jerkins level type stuff since he was 12. And so that's something where, okay, you was born to do this.
Right.
And so my whole thing is, as long as he applies the same tenacity and consistency that you apply, he's going to get there faster.
Absolutely.
I believe. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So that's the difference in doing it because you can and then doing it because you're called.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that.
So the first step then is, if I were you, if there's something that you really want to do, I will find out, am I called to do this?
Yeah.
You know, and that lends the question of what's your purpose.
One of the things that you said something, and I think you actually turned this into a life a while back. You said, don't follow your passion, follow your talent, and your talent will make room for your passion. And then you told a story about a friend of yours who could cook but wanted to make beats, and then something wasn't going on.
Yeah.
And then he had his mixtape with him when he was cooking somewhere at one point, and someone showed up, and he was able to hand that off, and then out the gate, there goes his opportunity.
Yep.
And I mean, I've been able to kind of look at my life after hearing that for the first time and reassess some things. Because the cool thing about me, which is also I think a detriment, is that I tend to be one of those jack of all trades people. Like I can do a lot of stuff good. I can only do like one or two things exceptionally well. And I mean that's the thing. Like and that goes back to what you were talking about earlier. Like I understand that about myself.
Right.
I can pick up a trade or a skill and get good at it to where it can pass. Like I'm not a great piano player, but I can make you think I am. Like sure. I can fake you out of it.
Right.
And I understand that about myself. That's where I understand where my limitations are. Because the things that I'm great at, like I never thought I was gonna be good at radio. I never wanted to be in radio. And then someone was like, yo, I just want you to do a show because you talk too much. And I was like, first of all, I think that's messed up.
Slap compliment?
But if you're going to pay me to do it, I'm going to take that backhanded compliment. And then here I am 11 years later, finding out that I was
doing it.
I became really good at something I had no intentions of being good at. And I'm in the middle of the music industry. So that's the thing.
Man.
Following
proud of you, by
talent.
the way.
I appreciate that.
Proud of you, by the way.
I'm going to share the till later. Yeah,
absolutely. But yeah, so that's the thing is follow your purpose. So how do you find your purpose? A key thing I've read before and heard before is, is a question to ask yourself is like, what makes you angry or what makes you or what breaks your heart? What makes you angry to the point where you want to act, and what breaks your heart to the point you want to act? That's tapping into.
Whoa! Say that again. Don't gloss over that one. Say
what makes you angry to the point you want to act, or what breaks your heart to the point you want to act. I think that's a very important thing to pay attention to because it is a huge clue as to what your purpose could be on this earth. You know what I mean? So pay attention to that, and then after that, if there's nothing that pisses you off that much and nothing that makes you that sad or breaks your heart that much, then the second question I ask people is, what would you do if you had no bills to pay? You could do anything you want to do. What would you spend the rest of all of your day doing that you enjoy? Right. Never ask that to a teenager, because I asked that to my teenager. He's like, I'd play Xbox, and that'll never work. So, but seriously, what would you do all day, and you can care less if you got paid for it? That might be another clue as to what your purpose is. And then lastly is, what do you find that people always come to you about, right? Like what are you always being asked to do? What do you always find yourself doing, especially when it involves other people and you don't even try to do it? It doesn't matter if you enjoy it or not, but for some reason it just keeps coming to you. Everyone's always asking you to cook. They've told you a million times, man, you need to bottle this up, can this up, and sell it. Over and over again, man, can you help me make this piece of clothing? Or I just go, man, you need to do this. Can you do my hair? Because no one else can do my hair like you do hair.
Man, you need to write that book. Man, you need to do this podcast. Man,
you're a jerk. But I'm so glad that you're saying it on the podcast that I'm actually doing.
Pot kettle.
So I love it. That's right. They both black, fists up. But those are some ways that you can look and find your purpose.
Right.
And like I said, so many people, they want to be in entertainment, and like their purpose could be cooking. And the reason how you can not be discouraged, because you're like, man, I'm not trying to cook. I'm not trying to make clothes. I'm not trying to write a book or whatever.
Yeah.
Is again, like we talked about before in life, is that your gift will make a way for your dream.
Right.
Your gift will open the door for your dream. If you pursue that thing you're called to do, it's going to put you in a position where things start being taken care of in your life, and now you have some time and resources to do the things you want to do. So those are just some ways to look at it and be careful.
I think one of the things that people run into the most is they get infatuated with the glamour side of what comes with entertainment.
Always.
Because in a sense, I remember kind of being that way early in radio too. People think about radio as this glamorous thing. They don't realize that you're literally talking to yourself in a box for 4 to 5 hours at any given time. They see the 1 or 2 times where the radio station does oh man. That's a matter of fact, I would enjoy that if he would just get in a box and talk to. But that's another. That's another.
Point. Soundproofed,
right? From the outside,
locked, in chains,
underwater,
at the bottom of the ocean.
There you go. You own to something, brother.
Yeah, we do not condone homicide. Though.
No, we're just spitballing
here. Will Smith said that first. No, we're gonna put that in the box and throw that bee in the ocean.
Throw it in the ocean. But that's it. You see it, and I remember when I first got into radio, I the excitement of the initial first shows by myself and knowing that I'm talking to 100, 200,000 people. It's cool, but I couldn't wait to get on stage and introduce a big artist or talk to a crowd of 50,000 people. And we only do shows like that maybe twice a year. The rest of it is completely unglamorous. Half the time I'm in a radio station in my pajamas and people don't even know that. And I'm in a room by myself talking to myself, really. And my job is to create the illusion that it's a big party.
You have those like furry slippers?
No, I don't wear my wife's slippers.
See, y'all, y'all don't see Johnny right now, but if you saw Johnny, he looks like he would have those furry slippers.
I did have that phase, but we got out of that phase.
I'm gonna ask my cousin Kurt Richardson what he feels about this. I mean, just the whole.
I like what Stone said, that when you're called to your purpose, that means you're pulled into your purpose. It's not something that you choose. It's something that just naturally happens. Is born out of a passion and a love for what you do. You don't think about the result. You enjoy the process.
Right.
And I find that I tell, like, especially I speak to a lot of young people, I said, don't focus on what you're going to get at the end. Focus on the experience of what you're doing in the moment, because the magic is in the moment. And there's so many details in the moment, and there's so much wisdom at each step that you take that will actually help you to really have an enriching experience. And what happens is a lot of times we think, okay, I want to get this result. I want to get a hit record, or I want to get a big project, or I want to have a big success, or whether it's if you're a writer, if you're a producer, film, music, whatever, or even in regular business, like I want to, even students, if I want to get, I want to get into the best school, and and it's good to have goals. But what happens is if you don't meet your exact goal, you then become a little bit, downtrodden.
Almost jaded, yeah.
Yeah, jaded, like, oh, I didn't get this, so, but not thinking, you know what, you can always have a goal, and even if you don't reach the exact goal, you may get somewhere near it, and that's an amazing success.
Absolutely. And
then and the fun part is getting there. It's not just, okay, I've arrived, because you never arrive. Mm-hmm. And this. I mean, you've been successful in different forms, different points of your life. You didn't feel like, okay, cool, that's it, I'm done. Right. There's still more that you want, but it's because you are involved in so much in your process that you're insatiable about your learning. And then in learning, you go, okay, cool, I've reached this level, I want to go to another level.
3 seconds to ponder the point. Man, that was really good. Both of y'all, that was really good. Side note, I got a new universal remote, and I thought to myself, this changes everything. So anyway, moving on. We're getting too serious.
The movie Click. What's that? Adam Sandler did that movie?
Yeah, man, we get too serious. No, but seriously, that's a whole bunch of good gems, man. Seriously, and that's one thing I do love. I'm going to love about doing this podcast, and especially with you, Johnny, and with guests that we have in, is I'm going to learn a whole bunch of stuff myself as well. So just because I have the platform doesn't mean I have all the answers. But yeah, so one thing I will say, whether you find your purpose or not, all right, whether it be your purpose or even if it's just your passion, get started. Get started. You can't drive a parked car. All right. So my whole thing is get started. And if you are someone who believes in God and a creator and stuff like that, just get moving. He knows how to put people and things in your life to steer you left and right. And if you're not someone who believes in something like that, then hey, it's all in your power and good luck to you. But anyway, so
I feel like that was a shot. But
that wasn't a shot. It's true. It's in their own power, so they figure it out themselves.
You didn't look over here at me that time.
No, I didn't actually.
At me next time, Stone.
I didn't look at you next time. You are his adversary. So So anyway, so all right. So we got the whole purpose thing and stuff like that. Let's say you even find your purpose. Let's say you're one of the blessed ones that say, I know what I'm supposed to be doing, right? But you're stuck. All right. You're not advancing. You're not progressing. You're not prospering or whatever it is. What do? All right. What is it about you that's keeping you from advancing? You have to figure that out. And what we tend to do is we try to find external reasons and external excuses as to why we're not moving forward, right?
Oh, mine's number one. Yeah. I had a kid.
Right there. Seriously. And someone might be like, well, no, you're not a parent. You don't really know what that's like. That's true. And at the end of the day, it may be a fact, but it's still an excuse.
Exactly.
Excuses sound greatest to those that make them. That's all I can say. So
say that again.
Excuses sound greatest to those who make them.
Stone, that's saying slaps, bro.
That's oh my gosh. Man, y'all taking me way back. I don't even know what that is. That was before my time. But so do that. So what you have to ask yourself, what's keeping me from advancing? And then just do a self check on that. Find out identify what your strengths are. All right. And once you realize what your strengths are, you have to ask yourself, am I applying these strengths? And look, let me tell you something. I don't care what we talk about throughout this entire podcast, not just this episode. In everything we talk about, we're going to give it to you raw and real. But if you are not going to be raw, real, and honest with yourself, honestly, I don't even know what you're listening for. You're listening for goosebumps and some motivation, and motivation is going to change when you turn around and life punches you in the mouth.
Oh, yeah.
So you have to be raw and real and honest with yourself. All right. What are my strengths? Am I truly applying my strengths to what it is I should be doing? All right. And then after that, assess what are my weaknesses. And again, you have to be honest. I have a big head. My cousin has a similar blocky head. The reason why I can say that, because that is a Richardson family trait. We have big
you're being literal right now.
Am I being literal? It is. A Richardson by his head.
My bad.
If his head is kind of big and blocky, there is a 50% chance they are a Richardson family
over here thinking he's talking about ego.
I'm talking about your cranium. Physical cabeza. You know what I'm saying? But my point is, though, not that, some call it the weakest, some don't. I don't know. But find out what your weaknesses are. And you have to be honest about it, okay? Not everyone's Denzel. Not everyone's a Rodney Jerkins or a Jim Johnson or a Rico Love or a Will Smith. And not everyone's a Lolo Jones or a Usain Bolt or Justin Gatlin. Like, you have to know who you are and know where your limitations and weaknesses are. And if there are limitations that can be developed,
Gabby Douglas, Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah, freaking go out there and develop them. But there's
just had to say some women in there, so we.
Oh, yeah. Why said Lolo Jones?
Yeah, there you go. One. I just had to throw a couple
more.
Lolo's
everything, though.
Just had to throw a few
Lolo
more.
Lolo is everything. But anyway, so you have to, you got to do that. Do you agree or disagree?
No, I agree 100%. I think it all comes down to one thing for me, though. Because all of that stuff, your weaknesses just turns into what are you afraid of. I think the number one thing that tends to hold people back is simply fear of whatever the next thing is. It's that unknown. You know what you want. Mm-hmm. You know what you may need to do to get to it, but you don't necessarily know the obstacles you're going to come up against or the next process after that only step that you know. And I think that's usually what tends to hang people. Because with me, that it's not my son. It's not. I mean, I had a kid, and it's great. But I mean, my thing that tends to hold me back on some of my ventures is literally fear of messing up his future. Because the investment that it takes for some of my dreams, I got to take away from some stuff that I might. But
you really feel like, and first of all, I agree that fear is a big one, and I've heard that so much. Mm-hmm. But can I tell you what I've run across though in real life and in my life? When I say my life, not mine personally, although I have been a victim of it, but just in people I deal with, and it hasn't really even been so much fear. It's just been flat out
laziness. I'll give you that.
Just not doing it.
Yeah.
Just not taking that first step. Now, granted, you're going to be like, well, some people don't take that first step because of fear. And I've seen that.
That's what I was going to say. Fear can cripple you, man.
It can. And I have seen that. But some of it has just been like, I will.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And not even so much a lack of, so much an abundance of fear, but just a lack of drive, like a lack of a why. Like,
Yeah.
why do I want to do it? You know, and
Right.
then so they don't get up. You know, so they don't.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I do believe what you're saying. There is 100% true.
I'm guilty of that in some aspects myself too. There's some things that I've been put, like writing my first book. I won some writing contests back in middle school, and I've been being, again, one thing people been telling me, you should write. I'm like, I don't want to write stories. I want to write songs. Like, I'm not.
Right.
And I didn't start writing my first book until I was 27. Like, I literally put it off for 15 years, and when I went back to kind of process why it took me so long, I put the fear label on it. I was afraid that going from trying to write a good song to trying to write a good book would be a complete failure, because I'm not writing a 4-minute thing anymore. I'm writing 300 pages of something.
Right.
But, and that was part of it. I was afraid of that rejection, but it was pure laziness, because I didn't. I mean, if I was just writing it just for me, I could have been wrote it. I just never did it.
At the end of the day, man. I mean, and
So,
that's
yeah, I
the
think that's
hardest
a part
part.
of
I
it,
think
too.
a lot of people. I mean, if you go ahead and get your 7 hours of sleep, you got what, 24 hours in a day.
Yeah.
Right, go ahead and get your 7 hours of sleep. What do you have left? Like 11. My math.
That's
is horrible.
terrible, man.
14,
14,
17.
There you go. 14. Yeah.
17. You have 17 hours.
Well,
left?
I'm accounting for work, but yeah.
Well, yeah, but including work, like you have 17 hours left. All right, then go ahead and put 8-9 hours in at work. So then you still have 8 hours left.
Right. What are you doing?
What are you doing in those 8 hours?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I was talking to my artist I'm working with,
Watching
Serena.
Stranger Things and other TV shows.
Exactly. You know, with Serena, and follow her on Instagram. It's Serena_Grace. And I was doing some stuff where I was trying to get her to accomplish some tasks, and some of them didn't get done or whatever. And I was sitting there telling, like I edited some videos and stuff for her. I said, do you know when I made this video? I made this video when I was on the toilet. You know what I mean? And somebody call it TMI, but like that was a very real point. I edited, I had the apps on my phone. I was on my phone on the toilet when I made this video. You know when I emailed these people? I emailed them when I got up, and I was sitting on the side of my bed because I had threw some stuff in the dryer. I was waiting for them to dry real fast, so I sent these emails out. So the point is, let me tell you something. There is no such thing as being too busy.
True.
And not having time. All right? Some people keep trying to find the time, and then some people make the time. There is a very big difference. And like those of you out there, if you're dating, whatever, and people are always sitting there telling you like, oh, I can't seem to find the time, that is not true. What they're saying is, I made time for other things that I'm prioritizing over you. That's all they're sitting there and saying. So you have to figure out, where is your priority? What is your career your priority or not? And I am happy to say, just in case she does hear this, I don't want her to get on me. We've had that whole come to Jesus moment talk, and she has turned a complete 180, and the girl works her butt off now. So I do want to make sure I bring that back home, not to, because people are like, why are you telling people I'm lazy? She's Hispanic, so she'll have to that little, and all it does is kind of just make me smile. Actually, she's mad, and I'm like, so anyway, but so you have to prioritize, where you are.
There's a scientific thing about that I mean, not to get too, because Stone likes to keep it light, but I mean, this is one of those deep things that I think if people knew about this.
That's what I like podcasts.
A lot of people haven't heard of Parkinson's law. And so Parkinson's law is, a task will fill the amount of time given to it. So no, I mean, it's one of the most simplest things in life.
It's kind of like duh.
But it's like if you think about when people go to that regular 9 to 5, like you're probably really only working maybe 2 hours of that day, and then the rest of it you're doing Facebook, you're doing Instagram, you're going to the bathroom because people like to get paid on company time. Like,
right? Hey, guilty. Guilty.
I poop on company time. Like, it's so if you pay attention to that law and you understand that, if I give this thing this amount of time, it's going to take all of that time. Even if it's something, if it's a task that it should only take you 20 minutes to do it. Right. If you allot yourself 2 hours, it's going to take you 2 hours to do that task. And most people live subconsciously with that concept that, I've got all of this time. So, and it's the same thing with me with my book. It took 15 years because I was a 12-year-old kid. I'm like, man, I got the rest of my life. So it took the rest of my life. Had I
see what you're saying.
Held myself accountable and said, I'm giving myself 3 months to write this book, that book would have taken 3 months to write.
I see what you're saying.
Because Parkinson's law the task would have filled the time allotted.
Is it the same
for it.
Parkinson?
That's not the same Parkinson's.
Because in my mind, I'm still trying.
You over here shaking.
I'm still trying to put it together. I was like, so Parkinson came up with both a law and a disease.
Nah, two different.
Although he didn't come up with the disease, granted, Mr. or Mrs. Parkinson, whoever it is. But, anyway,
see, Stone likes to keep it light. But no, that's an important thing. I think and your big thing is accountability. If people hold themselves accountable for what they want to accomplish, set a goal to that task, and then give yourself a time limit, something will get done.
Right.
But if you do I've got years, or I'll get to it tomorrow, or I'll do it next month after I get past this, whatever's going on in my life, that task is going to take up all of that time. And again, that also, I think, plays on the whole laziness aspect, because you're not taking the initiative to give yourself boundaries on what you're trying to accomplish. You're not setting a schedule.
Right. No, yeah. I agree. So all of that sounds like it comes down to me.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah.
It sounds like it comes down to me.
So far, what did you say at the beginning? How did you? I want you to read it again, because
But if it is to be, it's up to me.
Yeah. That, and that's the thing. It is. It all comes down to internally. If you want it, what do you need to do to make it happen for you?
And that's everything we've said so far really has been under your control.
Yeah.
So again, if you're still stuck, then that means the current you is not cutting the mustard.
Right.
The current you is not good enough.
You may not be disciplined enough. You
may
not be focused enough.
Yep. May not be hungry enough.
Right.
May not be sexy enough. You may not be smart enough.
Head
you
might
may
be
not
too
be
big.
It might be too big. Might not be black enough. Might not be white enough. It might not be. I don't know. Anyway, but either way, your current you is not good enough. Is the point.
Now, we're not telling you to go out there and get no tan if you feel like.
Please don't get no fake jobs and all that
Go
stuff.
out there.
But that's a whole nother podcast, because I got feelings on that.
Yeah.
So, but the bottom line is, what do you do then when you need a new you?
Yeah.
Okay. Like with me, I was always being blamed growing up that I was so lackadaisical. And I was. Sometimes a lot of stuff came to me easily. And I didn't have the drive. I didn't have the initiative and the hunger. If it didn't come easy enough, I put things off. I was a very big procrastinator. So that version of me was not good enough to achieve the lofty dreams I was dreaming, though. Because even though I was lazy and stuff, it didn't keep me from dreaming. And somehow, some way, I thought I was going to get them things.
Yeah.
So being that me wasn't good enough. So what did I have to do? I had to create a new me. And this came from a lot of ways, from different people being in my life, to being influenced by different people, to reading, to watching videos, all of these things. Like every time I said it doesn't take all of that, I was like, do it. Because the moment you think it doesn't take all that, guess what? It does take all that.
More.
Yeah, more. Yeah. That's the difference between the amateur, the average, and the elite. The elite realizes it does take all that. So what do you do? What do you do when you go out there and you find out, okay, a new me is needed? How do I create a new me? It's actually very simple. All right. You are what you think about, what you talk about, and what you see, what you watch. You are those three things, all right? So right away, you have to change what you think about, which is obviously going to be affected by what you watch, what you listen to, and what you talk about. Those are the three gates to your heart that will change you as a person. Because what a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So change what you watch, change what you listen to, change what you talk about. Your eye gate, your ear gate, and your mouth gate. I'm telling you right now, even as I'm talking, many of you agree, because you've heard it before. Some of y'all going to be like, man, it don't take all that. And I'm trying to tell you, you're going to keep going up the down escalator if you keep thinking like that.
No, I'm a classic case of that. Because I'm like Will Smith. Anybody who's a Will Smith fan knows what Will Smith's favorite word is. And my favorite word happens to be the same word. It's a compound word that begins with M and ends with her.
Oh my gosh.
Because it's applicable to so many different situations. You can say it when you're mad, you can say it at a person, you can say it at a thing. Like it's just interchangeable. However, I would get to the point in the past where I was just using it just because it was my favorite word. And not knowing that it was affecting certain people around me. They didn't see me differently, but they just didn't like the fact that I liked that word so much. And it did. That just the fact that I was saying it intentionally because I liked it held me back from some stuff. I look back, I was like, man, I lost money because I said that word around the wrong person. And it was one of those eye-opening things. I was like, man, it's a word. Like, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. But this person was the gatekeeper to a particular situation. That
I don't get. See, the world is so super sensitive. Like, Kurt, do you see anything wrong with Mr. Trucker? Do you?
Well,
I don't see anything wrong with that. Like, it's just so sensitive. Anyway, sorry to interrupt, man. Go ahead. It just burns me up.
Just,
you know what I mean?
it's the perfect story to your point, though. Like, I had to change that aspect. It's still my favorite word, and I still like to say all of them, and I still do say all of them. I'm just more selective about when and where and who around I say certain words. Especially now with the platform that I'm on in my day job. I can't say those words when I'm on the air because the FCC like to ask for their checks, and I don't like to get fined. So I have to be careful. So that's the thing. I had to create a different me. Producer, engineer Johnny back in the day in the studio, every word's flying all over the place. But the radio medium it's a corporate medium. I mean, we have to wear suits every once in a while. I don't like it. Like I said, I prefer to go to work in pajamas half the time. But every once in a while, I got to put clothes on.
Right.
And that environment, I had to create a Johnny who could work in that environment.
And I don't know how to take that. You had to create a Johnny who didn't want to go to work in his pajamas. Like, you started out in the negative.
But how is that in a negative?
Because the fact that you just didn't want to wear clothes to
no, it's not
job.
that. It's
like,
not that. Well, but no. Okay, so this is the thing.
Like, you literally had to become a new person, so not to wear.
Well, no.
Your Oshkosh bagash.
Think about what you said.
Pajamas.
Think about what you said. I'm just applying my life story to what you said. Now, people always say dress for the job you want. Radio, that's that
so
job.
So you wore pajamas.
Yeah, I can show you. I mean, if you go to my Instagram,
because that's the job you wanted.
No, but that's the job. Yes, actually, yeah. You've seen the T-shirt. Everybody thinks the man in the suit looks cool until they find out that he works for the man in sweatpants.
Right.
That's a fact.
This is very true.
That is a fact.
I do like that saying.
And I personally, I've never enjoyed wearing suits. And every job I've ever had where I've gotten real checks off of it, I wasn't wearing no tie.
No.
But whenever I got to put a tie on, I end up losing money. It's usually necessary to set something up, but in that particular situation, me dressing up costs me money. So, yeah, I tend to make more money when I'm wearing pajamas. That's just how that is. A lot of songwriters, man, they'll wear their sweatpants and a T-shirt. Look at you today, man. You're not decked out to the nines. I've seen Stone. Stone done put the pocket square in. I've seen some of the pictures before.
Never. No, you have not.
I haven't seen a picture of you in a pocket square.
Maybe one picture, like one picture.
Maybe that's why I remember
with Andrew
so
Jackson,
much.
I think. And I'm not gonna show up with him in like some sweats, but
okay.
So the point is,
I had to create. As Stone said, you have to evolve into the person that can get you what you want.
You do, and the thing is, Johnny, please tell him, is it comfortable?
Oh hell no.
Curtis, is it comfortable?
No.
And that's what my nephew. He a lot of people know the story of my great nephew. He came down when he was in 8th grade, kind of slipping through the cracks and some things. Stayed with me. I took custody of him, and it was uncomfortable. He had structure, he had discipline, and there's no disrespect to my sister. She had her own form of structure and discipline, but it was times 10 down with me, and he didn't like that. And it took a while for him, and he thought I was mean. He thought I was not understanding. He wanted to go back home. He whined enough, and they let him go back home. Then he got back home, and then he realized what he had. He said, I want to come back down. So he came back down. Guess what? The structure was still there. I still called you out when you were wrong. And he got upset. He's like, it seems like I'm always doing something wrong. You seem like you're always finding something. I was like, I don't have to find anything for you to do wrong. You do it. Yeah. I said, but you're upset because I call you out on it all the time.
Well,
I
that
said,
mirror has to be held up.
Huh?
That mirror just
it
had to be held
does.
up.
That's the whole thing. I was like, here's a really easy magic trick for you. If you want the number of times I call you out on doing wrong, decrease the number of times you do wrong. It was mind-blowing wisdom.
Common sense ain't common.
It isn't. So he got upset. So guess what? He's going back home again. And I'm just like, you know what? Go home this time and stay home. You know what I mean? Because and if the light goes off again, and you're like, dang, you know what? I was like, figure it out now.
Yeah.
Now figure it out. Because the bottom line is it's uncomfortable. Change is uncomfortable. The rabbi told the great story and analogy of the crab, and we all love big, juicy crabs. No one wants a tiny little scrawny crab. But the only reason why that crab grows is because he grows and his shell gets too tight and it gets too small and it becomes uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And that being uncomfortable is the impetus for that crab or that lobster to shed its shell. And then it gets another shell, and then that becomes too small, and that becomes uncomfortable, and that's the impetus to shed the shell yet again. Right. We can all sit there and gloat over the big, juicy crab, but we don't forget about the fact that the only reason why it's big is because it grew from being uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. It's no different with us. And I always say that if you're not uncomfortable, if you're not inconvenienced, if you're not hungry or thirsty, then you're not trying hard enough or you're not dreaming big enough.
Right.
And to try to avoid that, people, you might as well pitch camp where you are and stay the frick there. Shut up. Stop complaining. Because that's what it is. And if you want to run away from those failures and run away from those shortcomings, then stop trying to be successful. Like, it don't get no more plainer than that.
Success lies at the end of your comfort zone. I think that's a common saying that a lot of your favorite songwriters, producers, actors, directors have said it. And it's easy to get comfortable.
It is.
And, you know, when I was in Orlando, before I actually came to Atlanta, I was super comfortable. I had my own show down there. People were starting to recognize me a little bit. And then you get comfortable. Mm. Radio market-wise, Orlando's what they call a mid-major. So Orlando's like market 34. Okay. Atlanta's what they would call TV radio market 8, 9. Okay. There are 6 million people here. Just at 1.5 million down there. I got comfortable at 1.5 million. Didn't even imagine coming up here. I got drug up here because my wife got a job. That made me uncomfortable. Yeah. My wife, and that was the thing. It was, okay, do I continue to follow my dream or to hold my wife back from hers? And we took the thing and let her follow hers, which made me extremely uncomfortable. Mm. But what that did was it put me in a market where there are 6 million people, literally almost 6 times the amount of exposure that I had in my last market. And it did wonders for my career. And it was. The first year was growing pain after growing pain.
Yeah, I bet.
Because, I mean, there's celebrities in Central Florida, but it's a different vibe.
Right.
Atlanta is celebrity central. Mm-hmm. Everyone talks different. Everybody moves different. I had to learn how to swim in this city before I was able to actually plant my own flag.
Like, and literally?
Well, no. I'm one of the black people that learned how to swim real early. Oh. I had to. You're not going to catch me out on a boat and not be able to get back. No, I swim
you be
for
on
real.
Boats and everything?
Yeah, we get out there. We deep sea fish, all that.
You ain't black.
But that was a real thing, was that adjustment process. And it was terrifying, man. Mm. And now, even while we're having this conversation, I'm realizing that I'm comfortable in Atlanta now. Like, I'm not going to say I feel like Atlanta's home, but I've been here for 7 years now. And I've gotten comfortable. And I'm like, okay,
But you're comfortable where you are. It doesn't mean you're comfortable in what you're doing.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. No, there's always working on some other things. But even applying that to something else, it's like, okay, have I gotten too comfortable in my career? What's the next step? And starting to think about that. Right. Gotcha. So that's the thing. I'm starting to think about it differently because I had that shock moment of that first year being here and having to figure it out. And almost in a sense, because nobody knew me in Atlanta when we moved up here in 2012.
Right.
So I had to and nobody knows me now. Yeah.
That's why I'm doing this podcast.
Is to introduce me to the world.
It honestly is. I mean, look, don't hate on my benevolence.
I'm not. Johnny. And you know what?
See, this is what happens. We talk about we don't look out for one another. Yeah. Then you look out for a brother.
That's right.
Now he wants to hate. All right, I'm trying to help you find friends.
And you're right, and that's the thing. When 10 people knew who
Call
I was
me Clarence Savant,
before we started this, and then 5 people know me after we finish it.
Hey, keep your circle small. Keep your circle small. But
no,
anyway,
I think that's an important thing. It is an important thing is to recognize when you start to get comfortable.
Yeah, man. So I don't. And honestly, the majority of y'all listen honestly have to start there.
Yeah.
Everything else is really just excess nonsense because you haven't even gotten to the point where you're willing to be uncomfortable. And don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about being busy work. You know, and be like, oh, this is hard. I'm struggling. I'm grinding. And you're just running like a hamster on a treadmill on a wheel. Like, that's not the kind of uncomfortable we're talking about. We're talking about, you take calculated risk. You educate yourself on what it is that you're doing. You go out till you do it. And then you have to make sacrifices. And it's inconvenient and all this kind of stuff.
And bump your head, too.
And bump your head and fail and fall. And that's the stuff that I'm talking about. And some of y'all just absolutely just don't want to deal with that. And I'm not judging. I'm saying that's fine. But stop complaining that you're not where you want to be. You can't have it both ways, period. That's all I'm trying to say. So the last thing is just to do this thing, man. As we talk episode after episode, you're going to get some nuggets, man. You're going to get some wisdom. I can guarantee you that 100%. Not because I'm the smartest man in the world, because I've been around some of the smartest people in the world. So my whole thing is I'm going to share that with you. You're going to get those things. But there's going to be a final frontier that you will always come upon. And that is where you have to do it. You're going to get to the point when you know what to do, but you're going to have to step over that final line of where you do what you know. And no one can make that happen but you. So I hope you understand that. This has been fun for my first one. We're going to wrap this thing up. Next time, there's going to be more information for you guys to be able to tweet while we're doing this and tag and bring in your comments so we can make this a lot more interactive. I'm figuring this thing out, so I want to thank all the one person that was listening to this, but he's going to tell so many people that we're going to look, and we had like 50,000 streams on this thing. So yeah, man, Johnny, Freya, thanks for showing me the ropes, man. You're a great teacher, and I look forward to learning more. But thanks for being a great partner in this. I'm going to have some fun.
I'm looking forward to the conversations, man.
My talented songwriting cousin, thanks for joining in on this first one, man, and thanks for having my back. But, yeah, stay tuned. Life, the podcast, will be back. Y'all have a blessed and pleasant evening. Go bless somebody.